And we're live. Welcome to the Bullets Forever post-game playoff show. Yeah, this is Mike Sykes. We're here with Akbar Nakri. The Wizards we're kind of on edge right now because the Wizards just took game two in Toronto, in the Air Canada Center. This is insane. I don't know about you, man, but I did not see this coming at all. What about you?
Yeah, I thought I was.
And we're live.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Bullets Forever post-game playoff show. Yeah, this is Mike Sykes. We're here with Akbar Nakri. You need the headphones. We're kind of on edge right now because the Wizards just game two in Toronto, in the Air Canada Center. This is insane. I don't know about you, man, but I did not see this.
Are you hearing that too?
What about you? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was.
Yeah. Welcome to the Bullets Forever post-game playoff.
Okay, this.
Do you have two windows open?
Yeah, I might. Is okay. It's fine now?
It might be. If you had another window open, that might have been the problem. Because it was.
Okay. So after those technical difficulties, so I was basically just going in thinking, all right, we got the split. I'm fine with that. Whatever happens in this game is house money. It doesn't matter. I never expected for one, them to win, and for two, for them to win in a dominant fashion like they did in this game against a team that they've just struggled with so much over the past 2 years. It just seems like they're growing up before our eyes. I mean, we thought this last year too, but after all the crap that they've gone through this year, I mean, to come out of this with going up 2-0 for the second straight year on the road against a team that, quite frankly, pummeled them in the regular season. I mean, that's about as persevering as you can get in this league, and it's just a really exciting time right now.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm still on edge from the win. Really, it's just amazing that Wall and Beal can come out on the road like this after the game that they just had, where they collectively shot less than 30%. I don't remember the exact mark, and just light everything on fire right now. Oh, here we go. Here's Albert.
All right,
hey, Albert.
We're here.
Hey, how's it going?
We're great right now. We're great.
Yeah, I joined a little bit late. I got held up with a couple things.
It's no problem at all, man. So just what were your we're not even that far in the show, really. So just give us your general thoughts on the game just now. Just going on the road, winning two straight in a difficult place to play like the Air Canada Center. What is your reaction to that?
For me, general reaction. In game one, it was a very low scoring affair. And we all kind of know that the Washington Wizards, they're a team that wants to keep the score kind of low to win games. And we know Toronto's a team that can, they're a higher scoring team, especially because they're very good at getting to the free throw line and all. With this game, I was very impressed that the Wizards, they took a big punch right in the mouth to start the game, but just like game one, where they started out slow, but they gradually built the momentum back up. Except this time, unlike game one, where in the fourth quarter they basically gave up the entire lead. What we saw in game two was the Wizards. They had a counter punch for every time the Raptors tried to make a comeback, make this game more interesting. Unfortunately, this time the game was not all that interesting.
Yeah.
Unless you're a fan, that is, obviously.
So they started off, it was terrible. They were down 10 points. I think the most that the Raptors scored on them in that first quarter with that 10-point lead was 14-4 or something like that. And everything, it seemed to be kind of unraveling at that moment. But then Wall hit a shot, and then the Wizards got out in transition, and then they were getting to the line. And we saw a lot of pick and roll today. What did you guys think about that? Not that, the Wizards don't run a pick and roll in general. They don't run a lot of it, but they do. It's a part of their offense. But we saw a lot of that today. What did you guys think about that look on offense? How much do you think that helped with the win today?
I kind of think it fed into the fact that they were playing small ball, and it just seemed to, because of all the space that Pierce at the four created, it just seemed to uh, get Gortat going with those roles, and once they saw it was working, they just kept going to it. We've said all season that that's the best play that they've run all season. That's their bread and butter. That's what they should be running, and they haven't run it enough this season with such a great roll man like Gortat and a guy and such an improved passer like Wall, who's just become an expert at threading passes through tight spaces. That definitely it helped get Wall going, it helped get Gortat going, and it just gave the team confidence that they could just put up any kind of put up, put up points against this Raptors team. So
What'd you think about their offense today, Albert?
Wow. Just like we saw in Game 1 when Pierce was playing extended minutes at the stretch four position. We got to see a lot of that again today. I like the fact that there was more spacing. There's more opportunities for the three-point shooters to make shots, which they did at a very good clip. I think I'm just looking at the stats now. They were 10 of 21 from three. It kind of leads me to this. We knew that the Wizards, they wanted to be a playoff team from the start of preseason. They kept saying this is the time they really wanted to throw out all the stops. And I'm just kind of wondering, I know that you have to do well in the regular season before you go to the playoffs, but why couldn't we see a little bit more of this during the regular season?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I feel too. So I was kind of left hanging at the end of this game, thinking, hey, I'm glad that they won by double digits today, but why couldn't we see a little bit more of this during the regular season and build some more excitement heading into the playoffs? But either way, I'm not mad. I just look at it that way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like we should have seen a lot more of this in the regular season. I was going to say the off season, but no, I think it just is a function of coaching where you don't want to play all your cards all at once in the regular season. You don't want everyone because teams are going to develop that scouting report against you. So, say you're playing Pierce at the four consistently. Teams will figure out how to guard that sooner. We saw that a little bit in the regular season. Clearly, not as much as we would have all liked to see it because their offense it ran into some really dark times during the regular season. But had they played that a little bit more, maybe the Raptors know how to guard it a bit better. Had they practiced that, had they played more pick and roll offense, maybe the Raptors guard that a little bit better too. So I think it's kind of a mix of things, with stuff like that. You like to throw in little wrinkles. You like the Bradley Beal, John Wall, and Ramon Sessions combination. You like to throw things like that in, but I don't think you can throw all that in at one time.
yeah, I agree that we could kind of see this as Whitman saving all of his cards for the playoffs. While that could be seen as smart, at the same time, I kind of understood why fans were a little frustrated by not seeing Pierce at the four. When Pierce at the four is what really saved Brooklyn's season last year. But, at the same time, I've kind of gotten a sense from last season and this season that the Wizards are just more suited for the playoff basketball. Just because, in the playoffs, it's when shot distribution doesn't really matter as much because teams are, so focused on taking certain shots away. And also, coaches' rotation problems don't really appear. Your bench doesn't matter. One of the biggest problems with the Wizards was they weren't deep last year, even though their starting lineup was actually really good, both offensively and defensively. Their bench kind of killed it, and that doesn't matter anymore. And which is why I think the Wizards are just built for the playoffs. It's kind of like how the Grizzlies, Grizzlies were the 8th seed and they beat the one seed Spurs. They were kind of an average team in the regular season, won 46 games, but once playoff time rolled around, they just started getting through teams because they were just prepared for that style of basketball throughout the season. I feel like that's what's happening with the Wizards. So
Okay, so 28 points for Brad Bill today. 20 in the first half. Clearly, someone made him angry today. I'm not really sure what happened. Did you guys see the halftime interview where he's just like,
so
"Oh,
divine.
they think we're punks or whatever," and we're not rolling with that. Like, what'd you guys think of the way he played today? What'd you guys think of that little spark that he gave?
I kind of wish he got more angry more often. Just like he always talks about how he's like a guy who doesn't like to be selfish. He's always thought of as a quiet and nice kid. It seems like he feeds off anger, and that's that's something that he's got to embrace, and he's just got to like how Kevin Durant this season kind of embraced the kind of asshole, not nice kind of thing. I feel like Beal needs to get into that mode on the court at some point, and because it just seems like we saw this in the Brooklyn game where Markel Brown talked trash to him and he just got ticked off and went off. Like this, when he's not thinking about whether he's shooting too much, and when he's just playing out, that's when you see the best of Bradley Beal, and tonight really showed that. I think.
Yeah, I agree. He made in the second quarter, Bradley Beal. It wasn't just that he scored 20 points in the first half. He scored 16 of those points in the second quarter alone. The only 2 shots he missed were 3-point attempts, and he made 2 out of 4 3-pointers, and that was a really good, really strong all-around performance. I wish that Beal would take it to the hoop more often than he does. I was glad to see that he showed some of that aggression, and also he helped kickstart that big run to help turn around what was a 10-point deficit in the first quarter. They gradually, they chipped away, but Beal was the first guy to really get him over the hump. And it was Beal shooting the 3. Then I believe Wall made a layup on the very next offensive possession, and the offensive possession after that, Wall got a fast break dunk. I think I fan shot that in the vine, so I think I almost remember that by heart now.
Yeah.
So Beal was the guy who started everything, at least from a scoring standpoint for the Wizards. Even though John Wall obviously was phenomenal, not just as a scorer but also making. Wow. Yeah.
Man, John Wall was phenomenal today, and that third quarter run that you just talked a little bit about, Albert, that was amazing. In that run, the Wizards outscored the Raptors 34-14. They made 5 out of 6 threes, guys. Have we ever? I feel like that's the first time we've seen something like that from them this season. Where it's like the game was close. The Raptors made their little run and cut the lead down to 2. It was 63-61, and then the Wizards all of a sudden, they just pulled away. What happened, guys? I can't gather myself. I don't know what happened.
Lou Williams mostly, I think, on the floor. That kind of helped. He was kind of everywhere on defense and wasn't really doing anything. But really, the Wizards have not been the kind of team that just put a dagger in you to just make a bunch of shots and make the lead swell up right away. I mean, that's the kind of thing. When I saw them, I was reminded of like the Warriors or even the Spurs or the last year's Heat team or the year before that. I mean, this is the kind of thing that those teams do, is that even when the game gets close, they make sure that the other team has no chance. They just put a dagger in there, and I've never seen that from this team. And that was the best part. Now they have to show whether it was something that they can do, whether it's something that they're capable of, or whether it's lightning in a bottle. I personally think it was just Wall completely dominating. They had no clue how to stop him. They tried to drop back on the pick and rolls, and he just manipulated space beautifully, Rondo style, peak Rondo style. And when they trapped him high, he just went straight to the rim, got to the free throw line, even hit a couple of threes. was beautiful to watch. It's the best, probably the best, one of the best games I've ever seen him play, especially when you account for the situation. It was wonderful. I had a lot of fun playing.
Yeah, yeah, it was really fun. Can you? What did you guys think of Gortat's game? I know Akbar, me and you kind of got into that a little bit before the show started, but he didn't miss in the first quarter. I mean, in the first half rather. And him in that pick and roll with Wall. I mean, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. I don't know why we don't see that a bit more, because that's more commonplace in the league. But it was really effective tonight. Do you guys think that they continue with that moving forward as they take the series back to the Verizon Center?
I mean, Gortat was their second best player this season. I will maintain that throughout the year. I mean, he was terrific all year. He went through a little mid-season slump, which made fans turn on him a bit. I thought that was kind of ridiculous at the time. But he's been solid all season, and just like he was today. Solid, efficient, and his screening. People need to realize his screening has done so much for the guards. He's consistently sets good screens. He knows how to flip the picks. He rolls to the rim when he needs to, and he creates space for the rest of the team because of his ability to dive to the rim. And it's so great to see, Wall and Beal utilizing that. And Gortat is quietly just had a great year and has been a huge reason for Wall's improvement this year and for Beal's great play in the playoffs this year and last year. So,
yep. Just to piggyback off what you said, Akbar, it's we're seeing the marching Gortat that scored 31 points and 17 rebounds against the Pacers in Game 5. That was the most memorable game I saw from him during that series. Today, he also had he had a great game when he was on the floor. He had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 7 and 9 shooting. I know I kind of fall a little bit in love with box scores a little bit too much sometimes. But he was not. The only bad part about Gortat today was just that he got in a little bit of foul trouble. And if he wasn't in foul trouble today, you may have seen another game where he was scoring 20-some points and he could have gotten 15 rebounds. That being said, I didn't mind seeing Kevin Seraphin, at least from hindsight. Kevin Seraphin he played some good spot minutes when Gortat was out in the second half.
So Lowry got hit with a little bit of foul trouble today as well, speaking of foul trouble. And I think that's been a really, really big part of the series because when your best player is off the floor, and he got hurt at the end of the game just now, when he's not on the floor, the Raptors' offense is really just, DeMar dribble around and take a contested mid-range two, or Lou Williams try to draw a foul. Mm-hmm. How important is that, guys? You never want to see, the opposition with their best player off of the floor, whether it's to foul trouble or injury. But, if the Wizards, if Lowry's, for whatever reason, in foul trouble throughout the rest of the series, how competitive do you think the Raptors can actually be with the Wizards? And, does that really put the Wizards on another level in this series? Because I think it does, personally.
Look, Lowry's their best player, and by far, in my opinion. He's their best decision maker. On the pick and rolls, he's the most precise and decisive one out of all of them. And I think what they need to do with him is, keep putting pressure on him. Wall needs to keep going at him because, these kind of things can get into him psychologically. The idea of getting in foul trouble and all that. And I also think that, more DeRozan and Lou Williams running the offense is a good thing. Even though Lou Williams can hit some miracle shots, though both of those guys are kind of one-dimensional players. Although DeRozan's improved his passing over the years, but usually you'll either see him try to draw a foul or settle for a contested mid-range two. And Lou Williams is almost always trying to draw fouls, and will either do that or jack up a long three. So, that can kill a team, but there's so much high variance, and they're not going to hit every shot, and that'll always give the Wizards a chance to either come back or extend their leads. Lowry's a lot more well-rounded. He's a guy that can, will teams back into games, whether it's through his shooting or at the rim or through his passing. He's just so much more multi-dimensional than those two guys, and just, not having him on the floor really hurt the Raptors tonight, and you could tell.
Right, and staying on the same token, I mean, Lowry hasn't been playing well. I mean, in game one, both Lowry and I think even DeRozan didn't have a particularly good game. Today, I think DeRozan had a better game, but Lowry once again had a poor shooting night. So it's not just the foul trouble; he's got to improve his shooting efficiency.
Right.
Before the series is over, I do think Lowry will have a pretty good shooting night. He is an all-star starter, so I'm not going to count him out of having 4 straight bad games. Of course, we'll take it if it happens, but but at the same time, this is a guy who can make 3-point shots at a higher rate than Wall, and if his shot is falling, then that can be contagious for the rest of the team.
So I want to talk a bit about 2 X factors for both teams, and we'll get into them both a little bit, but I want to do them kind of in order. First of all, James Johnson did play, and a lot of people on Twitter and things like that, the on-the-couch coaches, I guess, and I'm one of them. A lot of people called for James Johnson to play when Paul Pierce went and played power forward in this game and last game. And Dwayne Casey tried a bit of that today, and it wasn't really that effective. But I also think that he wasn't technically guarding Paul Pierce. He was guarding Otto Porter for whatever reason. I guess because Otto was pretty active on the glass in this game and last game. So you kind of want to put a quicker body on him because he was using his quickness and his length to get in rebounder position. But I thought that in that second quarter, when the Wizards kind of went on their first little run, James Johnson kind of got in the way of the Raptors' offense because Paul Pierce wasn't really guarding him, and without the ball, he was pretty ineffective. So, what do you guys think of him playing throughout the rest of the series, and do you think that he can still be a factor in this series?
Well, I think he's better than Tyler Hansbrough, at the very least, and I think
Who's not?
yeah. He should guard Pierce, and we'll see how that goes. But I think if the Raptors are at a point where James Johnson is the only guy that can save their season, I think the Wizards have him right where they want him, because you take away the Raptors' best attribute, that's their spacing. You force them not to play Patrick Patterson, a guy that's given the Wizards fits over the years. And at the same time, I think Paul Pierce can handle James Johnson. I think, a guy with Paul Pierce's pedigree, his ability to make shots, even though James Johnson's kind of athletic, really long and athletic defender, I think Paul Pierce can handle him, and I don't fear James Johnson, even though I do think he is a better option for them in this series if they want to, stop the Wizards' 4-out lineup.
Yeah, yeah, I'll agree with what you said. I mean, James Johnson also is not going to stretch the floor like Paul Pierce can. So I don't think he's going to add. He's going to be that much of an X factor. For the Raptors going forward.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Albert. But I don't know. I just feel like there's a way where you can get Johnson involved, and a lot of this has to do with Lowry being off the floor, right? Because he was out for a majority of that first half, and when Johnson was on the floor, there wasn't a great creator that could get him the ball, because Lowry's their best passer, even though he's not a great passer by any means. He's a good one, but he's not great. So I think the type of player that James Johnson is, he's a slasher, he's a rebounder, he's a defender. Like, he's not, like you said, he's not going to stretch the floor. He has to be at the rim to be effective. And I feel like if Lowry can play with him, we can find him having some effective minutes, especially if he's guarding Pierce. When Pierce is forward, I think pretty important. It could be pretty important going forward. But like I said, I agree with you. I don't know if he's going to be effective at all, especially if Lowry's not playing. So we got to talk about Otto Porter, guys, because you know a lot of people were counting this guy out throughout the year. He basically showed us what he can be today. And I don't know when Pierce is at the 4, I guess. I don't know if he's necessarily at the 4 or if he's just if he's in another forward spot. Is what I'm saying, because I think really in that lineup it's normally with Otto Porter, and I think Otto Porter is actually the power forward because you see him more often than not down low, banging and attacking the glass, and you see Pierce on the outside, shooting, and they're not necessarily going to play on the block. Porter definitely not. Pierce can, but that's not where that's not where he should be at this point in his career. But I think those two as a combination, they were really effective, and I think that's really what's killing the Raptors in the series. To be quite frank, what did you guys think of that? Their combination, Pierce and Porter's combination, and just Porter's play in general. He had 15 points and 9 rebounds.
Wow. I was really impressed with the fact that Otto Porter was starting to make some of the. I think he made two 3-pointers. At least one of them was a corner 3. And he also grabbed 4 offensive rebounds. I mean, that just doesn't happen on a regular night for him. In many ways, I do agree with you, Mike, that he is in many ways a power forward of sorts for them, because he is a more tenacious rebounder than.
That's it.
It's kind of more interchangeable, just like the way the Wizards' 2 and 3 positions are kind of viewed interchangeably right now in their offense, at least traditionally, last couple of years. So.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that Otto Porter play tonight. I think Pierce, the idea of Pierce at the 4 is that he stretches the floor out, and the 4, Casey had the 4 guarding him a lot of the time in the first 2 games. But really what the spacing of the Wizards' 4-out lineup does is it gives Otto Porter room to cut and room to move around, because even though his 3-point shot is not quite there yet, even though he made some threes today, he just moves around and just keeps the defense thinking. Like, and you can sag off. You cannot completely ignore him like you can do with some other guys, because he will sneak into a backdoor cut. He'll get shots at the basket. I mean, that stuff matters. That creates another form of spacing, and that's why he's so valuable in a small ball lineup. And just his defense on the road is absolutely outstanding, and it was in the last game too. He just seems to be really comfortable with bigger wings at his size, and he didn't fall for any pump fakes. He was just really solid. And he's actually, I don't want to go too far here, but he's almost playing the Ariza role this year, because DeMar DeRozan kind of started off hot. He was hitting contested jumpers over everybody, and once Otto Porter came in, he was quiet the rest of the game. The Ariza did the same thing to DJ Augustine last year, and that kind of thing really matters. And I'm just, this is a 21-year-old kid. Let's remember, no one seems to realize how young this guy is. In his first year, he had to suffer through the hip flexor injury. Uneven playing time behind 2 small forwards who were playing well for the Wizards last year, and then just being thrown into the fire this year, inconsistent minutes. It's just really great to see him finally break out. And I really have high hopes for him, because even though he might not be worth the number 3 pick per se, I think he can be a really useful player in the right situation, especially if he develops a 3-point shot, because he's already got some really useful skills that are manifesting themselves in this series.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I totally agree with you about the cutting, and we've talked a bit about this before. If you don't have a jump shot, and this is one of my biggest complaints about Wall, if you can complain about him at all, especially after tonight. But he's not a very good cutter, and when you're not a shooter, you have to be able to cut. You have to be able to know when to move without the ball and where to go. And the Wizards have some pretty good passes, especially from the high post guys like Nene, and Paul Pierce is a pretty good passer from there too. Not that they typically use the high post offense, which I wish they would a bit more. But you kind of have to make yourself useful in those situations. I feel like Wall sometimes will just stand in the corner and just wait for things to happen when he doesn't have the ball. And I'm not sure if he's being told to do that, but I just know that we haven't seen any form of off ball movement from Wall or any productive form of it.
A lot of the Wizards players cut anyway. I think Otto really is the only guy that makes the unscheduled cuts. Just he's naturally inclined to do that. Rasul Butler is just a spot up shooter. Martell Webster is the same. Beal, Beal's a good cutter. He just for some reason doesn't do it enough.
Right.
But yeah.
And to a lot of teams, I mean, Porter's still kind of an unknown at this point because his playing time. One day, here he is starting, and he's scoring 10 points, grabs 5 rebounds, dishes 2 assists. And the next 3 games, he's hardly playing 5 or 6 minutes a game. It's been kind of hard to figure him out. So playing Porter some extended minutes during this playoff series is keeping the Raptors guessing. Because in the regular season, they may be thinking, hey, maybe they're going to play Rasul Butler more instead, but not the case.
To your point, Albert, Otto wasn't even in the rotation, a month ago? And now he's just out here dropping 15 and 9.
Yeah, I was expecting Rasul Butler to be in his position, especially after the hot start beginning of the year. And kudos to Otto for just taking his job, taking the rotation spot. He earned it. He played well throughout the regular season, and especially at the end of the year, and really, won the trust of Whitman. And he's showing, he's shining now. It's great to see.
You said kudos, so I just automatically laugh. I'm sorry.
Maybe Glenn Rice would have done the same. Or Jordan Clarkson. I'm not going to go there. But.
Yeah, this might not be. We're trying to remain positive today.
Yes, positivity.
So this isn't the space for your rant right
now. They got a long road ahead.
To say the least, right? Okay, so we pretty much covered everything, but I want to ask you guys something. I tweeted this to you earlier, Akbar, and you talked a bit about it before. But what if Randy Whitman is a great playoff coach? Like, we know the Wizards in the regular season, they're hard to watch some nights. Their offense is really bland. It's guardable. They're not the Warriors or anything. They're just a 46-win team. They're not even a 50-win team at this point. But this is he's 8-1 on the road in the playoffs now for his career, and that's insane to me. That's insane. This team was awful on the road throughout this entire year, and for them to go into the Air Canada Center and just steal 2, I'm floored right now. What if this guy just knows what he's doing? What if he? I say that like he's not an NBA coach, but I mean, what if? Like, what if he's actually just a coach that's better suited for the playoffs, that knows how to pace his team throughout the season and get them to show up once April comes?
Yeah, I mean, I proposed this all season that, even though I had my complaints about him, I proposed that, maybe we should just give him a chance in the playoffs because it's just a different environment. One of the things Whitman struggles with is rotations, and rotations typically don't matter in the playoffs. And 2, his style, the mid-range 2s, all the paint points, although the Wizards have actually won this series playing small, but that kind of style is more suited for the playoffs. And shot distribution, everyone wants threes and layups, but teams are actually trying to take those shots away, and they're trying to do it much more frequently in the playoffs. So all these plays to get open mid-range 2s, they become more valuable. And we have to first we have to realize that. One, he's had some favorable matchups. Last year's Bulls team just could not score last year. and this year's Raptors team cannot defend. So we have to see if he can do this against, you know, Atlanta, who the Wizards might be playing in the second round if they make it there. Fingers crossed. Or Cleveland. So we have to see it against a top East team. But I think he's kind of got like a Lionel Hollins vibe around him. He does some things that fans complain about. His rotations are a little weird, but once playoff time comes, he's got his guys prepared, and he's drawn some beautiful out of timeout plays in the playoffs last year and this year. That's the biggest thing that stood out to me about him in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison that you make with Lionel Hollins, because I was actually, literally before this thing, I was just thinking, what if this is what if the Wizards are the Grizzlies East? Not that the Eastern Conference is any good at all, because I mean, look, everyone will tell you up and down like this is a terrible conference. It's been that for the last couple of years. But what if, his style, like you just said, is just conducive to the playoffs? Like, what if this works here? There's less for him to worry about. He kind of has to micromanage, but the rotations, like you just said, are not an issue. What if this just works for him? What do you think, Albert?
To some extent, playing a style of basketball that is conducive to that type of environment, even if it means making more long-range twos and playing at a slower pace than the fastest-paced teams in the league, like the Warriors, for example. I get that, but at the same time, the Wizards, they still didn't have home court advantage this season. At some point, you still need to be a top 3 seed in the East to realistically have a chance to win it. It's important that once you're in the playoffs, yes, you want to consistently advance to the second round of the Eastern Conference Finals every year. The Wizards certainly have the talent to make the second round, and if they're lucky, hey, they may go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't want to think too far ahead right now, but you never know if they could. I mean, last year we were getting kind of excited about playing the Atlanta Hawks, who were without Al Horford, if I'm not mistaken. Now it's like this year we may play the Hawks again, except this time, I mean, they've done a phenomenal job. And
yeah,
Mike Budenholzer, didn't he win the Coach of the Year award this year?
Yeah, I just wanted to.
He definitely deserved it. I'm going off on a tangent, but what I'm trying to say is this. Yes, it is a good thing for Whitman to some extent to be playing style of basketball that's conducive to the postseason, but at the same time, the ultimate goal is to win the Eastern Conference. The Grizzlies, yes, they did make the Western Conference Finals one year, but they still haven't made the finals themselves. I mean, I think
they
got swept by the Spurs, or I think that's who they played a couple of years back. So, so if the Wizards make the Eastern Conference Finals by playing really gritty, and if they get swept by who, let's assume it's Cleveland, for example.
No.
Yeah, Albert. I think the spot.
Oh God! I'm pretty sure Fear the Stored's Twitter account's not going to go crazy now that I said it. But if a similar situation were to happen to us, and then we can never go to the Eastern Conference Finals again, we may still be complaining about those exact same issues.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree with Albert. That kind of style we saw with Hollins and all that. That can take you that can only take you so far. It can, deal with the first round, because that's when, teams are just starting to get used to the playoff environment. The Wizards are always just really prepared. But, once teams start getting more acclimated to the environment, that's when the coaching becomes an issue. And, last year in the Pacers series, the first game, it was perfect. It was like the Bulls series. Other than that, it just went downhill from there. And we saw the same problems materialize from the regular season to the playoffs. So, for now, I think Whitman has an advantage, but we'll have to see if he can do the same thing against in the second round when teams have already pretty much scouted the Wizards. And And
Yeah.
they've gotten used to the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you both, but I don't know. I still think it can be pretty effective.
Yeah.
In certain arenas. Man, I just kind of look at the Grizzlies this year and think that, you know, do they have a chance to win it? Yeah, I mean, Golden State's a lot better than them. Like, don't get me wrong. Golden State's probably an all-time team right
I
now.
think that series is going to be interesting because it'll test all of our conventions about basketball. Because we have this idea, or at least national pundits have this idea that the post scorers and the points in the paint, free throws, that is how you should play in the playoffs. The Warriors are completely opposite of that. And if they end up, I just want to kind of see the Warriors just destroy teams in the playoffs, so we can just get rid of this narrative that jump shooting teams can't win in the playoffs, because it's kind of wrong. But that's another point entirely. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so was there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about over here?
Well, I just hope Verizon Center has a sellout on Friday.
I hope so.
And that everybody's rooting for the Wizards in red, white, and blue. I don't know what kind of combination that they'll do for the first game, since they're giving everybody T-shirts, I believe. But hey, that's what I'm hoping for.
Are either of you going to the game on Friday?
I may go to the game.
Maybe.
So. Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
I'll go to one of the playoff games. I haven't decided. It's kind of like this. Now the Wizards are 2-0. If I see them on Friday, and then they win, now I'm thinking, oh crap, I can't see the game on Sunday because that's a potential elimination game. But at the same time, maybe I don't want to go to Friday. I got work to do. I work pretty late hours, so that may be why as well. I'm just kind of playing by ear at this point. I'm pretty spontaneous right now.
Yeah. I wish I would have. Definitely if down, but unfortunately I'm 3 hours away. The old cap.
Oh yeah.
But I'm definitely watching. I'm not anything else to manage that, because that Verizon Center crowd. I mean, last year I was in 3 against the Bulls, and it was one of the best environments I've ever been in, and I think the Wizards fans are going to even take it to a new level this time, and I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it should definitely be great. This series has been pretty fun so far, despite, I guess, the games not being relatively close. I would probably feel differently, if they were down 0-2. But
yeah, national pundits are complaining about this series, and I just don't care. I'm just here enjoying the wins and everything. So
yeah. I thought that game.
I'm just gonna ride that magic carpet and I'll ride it as far as it'll take me. No complaints this time.
All right, so we can wrap up here. Game 3 is on Friday at 8 o'clock, I believe. Or 7 o'clock. So just Google it or something. Run it through the 6 with the Wizards. Just hold on, we're coming home with a 2-0 lead. Boom.
Unlike last year, last year we only won 1 game at home during the playoffs. That's like the most amazing thing too.
Yeah.
This year the Wizards were so much better at home than they were last year, and I'm happy about that. So I hope we can see that momentum ride next game 3 starts. Let's make this a 3-0 series lead on Friday.
Yeah, man, a 3-0 series lead. Oh god, that would be amazing. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And this is like I'm swamped with work right now, and I'm procrastinating like crazy. I've got like a bunch of crap to do, but I just don't care right now.
Come on, man. You gotta.
I know school is study.
It was like that during this time of year.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So let's wrap up here. I think we're probably going a bit over time now with it. Good job today. Great win by the Wizards. Like I said, Game 3 is on Friday. Everyone, stay tuned for that, and we'll see you then.